Hey up.
Hey up, fellow leggers!
We're in the car again.
We are in the car for Volume 14.
Is this 14 now?
We are now teenagers. If the Lego maps were
what,
human beings,
Where's this
we would
analogy
be
going?
we would be in our teens. We are now in the rebellion stage of an anybody have a map.
Are we going to get I think we've always been a bit the bad boys of this theatre.
We are the bad boys.
Because we're not to everybody's taste, believe it or not, fellow leggers. We've had a lot of criticism about staying true to ourselves, being integral. Because it's not about putting it on. It's about just staying real.
Be real, people.
You do you, friend. You do you.
Fellow legger is real. A fellow legger is honest.
Yes.
Not hurtful.
I mean, there's no need to be nasty.
Because there has been, we're not going to go into names, I know we've had conversations, but there are other people out there, other so-called vloggers
if you're looking for
who are not nice
on YouTube, that's out there. Like, literally, it is out there, and it doesn't take much to find it.
It's easily done, and it gains attention, it gains traction.
Yeah, some people just want the attention. They're like snivelling children, aren't they? You know, screamy, stroppy,
now,
tantrum
they're the
childs.
Teenagers, or is it a child?
No, they're more the toddlers in the supermarket that gets told they can't have the sweets.
And fellow leggers.
Certain people on YouTube that would throw themselves to the floor and start stamping around. Tantrums, yeah.
And you probably know who they or these people are, fellow leggers.
That's not it.
So this isn't where it's at.
No.
So honesty, yes, real.
Elsewhere for that.
But also sensitivity.
Be true and be sensitive, and just appreciate the efforts people go to, irrespective of ultimately what your thought is. Because this is just our opinion. Share it, but be kind. Rewind.
And all this is just coming from Volume 14.
Volume 14. Just now, we've just had this epiphany.
Right, what are we talking about?
We're going to be talking about, is it okay to take photos and film bows in the theatre? When is that okay? There's been some controversy again recently about that, and we'll give you our thoughts on it. I feel like we've spoken about it a bit before in previous
What,
maps.
you mean theatre etiquette? I don't know if we've ever mentioned theatre etiquette.
I don't know if it's our thing.
Don't know if it's ever come up.
But you know what? Today's the day.
Today's the day. Why not?
We're also going to be talking about alternates and your expectation when you go to the theatre. Again, I think we've touched on it briefly before, but there's been some beautiful moments of alternate stepping in, and there's also been some really contentious ones. So
I think it seems to really rile people. Do you know what I mean? When you're expecting to see someone
right now, and
you don't see them.
We're going to talk more about in detail.
Okay.
We'll talk about the BAL Awards 2020. We just celebrated the BAL Awards 2019. Hopefully you've seen the video for that and you enjoyed it. What do we do this year? What next year's ceremony? What does that look like? Can you help us? Because it's not bloody cheap. Like, we would love to have a physical ceremony. We would love to get you guys along and
somewhere
enjoy
we
an
can
evening
go
with you.
An evening with the leggers.
I mean, at the back of a social club, a working man's club in, like, I don't know, Bracknell. That's
at the
probably
moment,
about what we can stretch to budget-wise.
I was going to say, it's just an alley at the moment.
I
don't
think Andrew Scott's going to turn up for that.
Not this year.
How do we do it? What do we do?
But how
and
do
your
we get
ideas?
there? Yeah.
Also, we'll talk about some upcoming productions, things we're looking forward to, and giving you guys a shout out for things that you're involved in as well. So
we've got our first shout out, haven't we?
We're going to be saying it a bit later on. Stick around for that. So let's get right into the tea. Let's spill the dirt here. When is it okay to take photos and to film in a theatre?
Now, I've always thought, obviously you can't film the content of a show, but as soon as the final lights go down to signify the end of the show,
peak today, be fun.
Once that happens, so like the bows, that's free game.
No.
Like you can get your phone out during the bows.
No.
You
Wrong.
can get. Whoa, this is what I've been led to believe.
Who's led
because
you to
there's so
believe
much
this?
footage out there on social media filming the bows. In fact, when a big show finally opens, that's something people are really interested in. The bows. Now suddenly you get thousands of hits.
Why?
I don't know why. It's never appealed to me.
Yeah.
Maybe it has appealed to you, fellow leggers. What
really
the interest is there. Maybe seeing the cast, what costume they're in, what reaction it's getting.
Shots out there. There's promos, there's trailers, there's show footage. It's all out there, professionally filmed, not by somebody on a phone which has basically got the camera capability of a spud. Like, I don't know why you would want to do it. The only exception I can think of where you would want to do it is like the Mega 6, where it's a whole number and a routine that you are explicitly encouraged to film. Also, Waitress, the producers of that show, have put out that it's fine to film the bows because they've explicitly stated it. If it hasn't been explicitly, and that's, I mean, a announcement during the show or something online which absolutely says that is absolutely fine, it's illegal still. It's
illegal?
Illegal. It's intellectual property.
Is anybody
it's the
like
stealing.
policing this?
It's the stealing of intellectual property, and it's also taking footage of people when they've not given you express permission to do so. You can't just go around filming people without their permission. You can do something called accidental inclusion, whereas if you're filming something and someone happens to walk past but they're not the subject of what you are filming, that's okay. But I would say if you're filming the bows of a show, it's because you want those people in that shot. It's not accidental. There's nothing accidental about that.
Now, memory seems to serve that there are more shows than that actively invite people to record certain elements of the show. Comment below your experience of it. Something that's jumping to mind for me as well is One Love, the Bob Marley musical that we caught in Birmingham.
A long time ago.
The Birmingham Rep.
Yeah.
And they did a whole sequence. They got people up on stage, encouraged you to get your camera, film it, or even jump up on stage, film yourself with the guys. And actually, that's a real good vibe.
I mean,
in terms
it's a good social media strategy.
Yeah, promoting the show, because then you have footage going out there of people having a good time up with the cast members, and someone watching that will think, oh, this looks fun. This is something I might like, or someone I know will like to go and be a part of.
Yeah.
And even though the show was okay, if they're just seeing that end part, that kind of mega mix section, then it serves a purpose of marketing the show.
But that's what the producers have decided that they are happy with. They have consulted the creative team and said, your set, your costumes are all going to be free for all on social media. Are you happy with that? And they are within their rights to say, well, no, I wouldn't be, because it's their intellectual property. It's definitely not okay. Like, I don't believe Come From Away allows it. And so if you see footage of that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it's okay. And there are certain social media Facebook groups that say if you post footage of that because we've been told by the producers they don't want it, it will be taken down, and potentially you could be banned from those sites because it's illegal.
Okay, so I think we need to clarify the question.
Okay.
So, because I think it's more than is it okay and is it not okay. Is it allowed? We seem to be saying no. It's not really allowed unless they explicitly say.
Your default position is no.
Okay, but now let's look at the question: is it okay?
Okay.
Is it like if someone is filming the bows next to you?
Yeah.
Would you actively step over and go, "Stop doing that"?
Yeah.
Or did you know what I mean? What's the big deal? The show is over. It's not like someone getting their phone out.
Because it's distracting. People want to be, and also.
But is it distracting?
It is, I think it is distracting.
The show's
and also,
finished.
it's moving us further away from the this.
Respect.
The respect and the idea that we're living in the moment, experience things with your own eyes, live them, don't see them through a lens. I think the more we encourage it, it blurs the lines, and it's going to mean then it's prevalent in the people think it's a free-for-all. People can't be trusted ultimately, right? People need clear and fast rules.
No.
I've learned enough I like to think people can be trusted, but the more experience I have with theatre etiquette, I just think it's time that we have to take control. You know,
I feel like you're climbing on that soapbox.
No,
already.
well, I am, because I've seen things recently where there's been discussions about locking your phones away in pouches where signal can't get in and out, so you cannot use your phone. And I've heard people going, oh, it's the safety concern. What happens if I need to use my phone because there's an emergency? Guys, theatre has been around in its modern form since the ancient Greeks, right?
They ain't got no mobile phones then.
Modern smartphones have been around for 10 years.
It's like in the Greek times, they'd have their little messengers by their side, ready to kind of convey a message. And it's like, can you put your messenger down?
Yeah.
Just send them out for a moment.
And let's say worst case scenario, there's a show without an interval that's 2 hours long. You're not going to be contactable for those 2 hours. But what really difference is that going to make? It's such a wild stab in the dark to say those 2 hours are going to be pivotal to a situation that I need to handle right there and then. If that's a potential situation that's going to be like we had the pregnancy thing, someone was going into labour. If you've got a warning that you're going to get a bit of warning that something like that is going to happen, I would say the last place you need to be is uncontactable in a theatre. Don't go. Like, stay at home.
What if they're saying, but I've spent £135 on these tickets?
Then you've got it. You make the decision of what's more important to you.
And I'm just going to check my phone for a moment. No. Do you know what I mean? Keep it subtle.
No, and I think this filming bows and things like that, it's just opening up that mentality.
Playing devil's advocate here, but I think you're reaching.
Clear, set rules.
I think you're being way too possessive and controlling here.
Someone's got to take
control.
Show is
over.
Things have got
Why are you getting so bothered about it?
Control. Why am I so bothered about it? Because
let it go.
Because honest to God, right? I've had such bad theatre etiquette experiences that I would considering just pulling my support from this channel and not going to the theatre anymore. It gets me so frustrated that it's not a good fun experience. I don't want to go to the theatre and spend my whole evening
anxious and on edge
and pissed off. I'm done with it. And you're going to do that. If you were ruining that theatre going experience, you're going to put people off having that experience. I know it sounds completely like one end of the spectrum, but it causes me, my concentration isn't with the show, it's with just the anger and the frustration of other people. And some people say, let it go. Do you know what? I don't let it bother me. I'm so in tune, and I'm really glad that some people are able to do that. I am not one of those people, and it's a rule. The no cameras and no phone signs and announcements, I'm not making that shit up, right? That's the rule. Just follow the rule. Just follow it. That's it. It's so simple. Simple.
Okay. Do we have any more to say on this? I'm trying to play devil's advocate and be like, do you know what's the big deal? It's just the bows. The show's over. They've given their consent to be up on stage. You're filming the actors.
Not without.
It's exposure for the show. Are they really going to have an issue with
That's what
you
a
filming?
Marketing team is for.
Are they really going to have
that strategy.
Extra exposure for just the audience, the cast doing a bow? Seriously, what's the big deal? That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it depends how much they care about me continuing to go to the theatre and making content like this, because if I'm just stressed and angry all the time...
This is what they're saying currently. Well, hold on, guys. If we allow this to happen, that leg of Simon possibly isn't going to do his bow stuff. So we need to reconsider this. We need to talk about this in this week's meeting, PR meeting, when we're discussing all about thousands of ticket
I just
sales.
think from the comments
from
the comments we've had in the past, and the conversations we've had with people that we know, I don't believe I'm alone. I don't believe I'm alone.
Tell us, fellow leggers.
Am I alone in this?
Is this a big
deal?
deal?
Is it enough to make you not want to sit in that theatre? Because you've paid the same amount of money as them, yet your experience can be
But you've seen the show. The show is done. The show is dusted. And we're not talking about filming through the whole show. We're just talking about what camera works. That's a bit of a reach. This is all I'm saying. That's a huge reach.
It is a reach.
From now I filmed the end of the show. Do you know what? That was alright. That was okay. I got some hits with that. Screw it. I'm going to film the whole show and I'm going to keep my camera out for the whole thing. No, that's a reach. Two things are very different. We're not saying it's okay to film the show.
If it was a reach,
we're saying is it okay to film
bringing
the
in
bows?
Technology that stops them using their phone full stop. If
because
that's not a risk.
Of bad phone etiquette during the show.
It's a risk that needs to be omitted, is what they're saying. It's too much of a risk. It's all. We're now at the point where it's all or nothing.
Okay, I think the pouches are a good idea. I think it's going to be logistically a nightmare to police. How do you do that? Because everyone has a mobile phone. Are they going to wand people down? And if you say you haven't got a phone, are they going to wand you and go, "What's this?" Is it going to be airport style security on the way in?
All it needs to be is if you are asked to turn your mobile phone off and your phone goes and you do not do that, then you will be ejected from the theatre. That's it.
But who's going to police that?
The
This is what I
ushers.
say. But no, the ushers, even when we're at the Harold Pinter Theatre, they were on it before the show. As soon as the show started, we had, in the second act, I had a couple of beeps. Bleep, 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 over here, over there. I had one person 4 seats across me that way, getting their phone out at one point. Another person 2 rows ahead and just to the side, getting their phone out again. Ushers didn't come through. Ushers didn't do anything. They can only police what they see.
More for them.
And do you know what I mean? It's the idea versus the logistics of policing it.
I'm sick of talking about it because I'm sick of people just not being any better at it, and that's the point. Until they get better, I'm still going to have things to talk about. You're going to think we're a broken record, but it's
we are a broken record.
But it's ruining
we're broken leggers.
It's ruining my experience.
Hashtag broken leggers.
I'm broken. Break a leg, broke my heart. Break my heart.
We're a broken leggers.
Right, let's move on to another topic because that's like 15 minutes just on the rant.
Okay.
Alternates and the expectation. Star casting, I think we've talked about before. More and more people are saying that people that are in the show being off has ruined their entire night.
I think we need to go back a bit. I think we may have touched on this discussion in the past.
We definitely have.
But it's along the idea of what is expected of a professional. A professional, I think, legacy in the past, the show must go on. Even if you're on your deathbed, you go on and do the show. You're expected to do 8 shows a week, regardless of the part. And let's be honest, some parts are... Demanding, I think, is possibly a polite word sometimes, but I think technically demanding, physically demanding, mentally demanding, asking a lot of your craft and your technique. And that is someone's job. It's like running a marathon, I'd imagine, like 8 times a week. Some parts require a lot. And I think that's kind of where the problem has come, which can be really difficult for producers and directors thinking, do you know what, we've got to sustain this. This actor's got to sustain this for however long the contract is.
It needs to be directed in such a way as to be able to be sustainable.
Has it got to be directed or do we have to put in fail-safe measures? For example, now we're getting more alternates. It used to be understudies. It used to be understudies, they would be on, they'd have a solid role, whereas now we've come into more of an age of the alternates. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking big ones where this kicked in was My Fair Lady with Martine McCutcheon.
No, it's just Martine McCutcheon.
That's the one, thank you. And she was off for a long period of time because, do you know what, she's a human being and she got sick. She got ill. And do you know what, even with the best technique and with the best craft and the best skill, I'm talking of the Ethel Merman kind of
that era,
up there,
that era,
age. Still a human being, is still going to get sick. And if a virus or a bug decides to invade your body, which we have no control over, and resign ourselves of our capabilities, then there's nothing we can do. And you've put that demand on, so people are going to get out. Anyway, alternates is where we're going now. And there's some stuff put out there recently around Sam Tutty very early on, being quite
sick.
Poorly, and the vultures, the non-leggers, this is definitely not leggers, jumping on this bandwagon of, oh, is he up to it? He's only just out of stage school, shouldn't be there. And it's like, hang on, hold up a second, that doesn't sound like a fellow legger. There needs to be more empathy here and more understanding on just what it is to be a professional. But then at the same time, what if it's someone you're going to see?
Yeah.
What if it is a Whoopi Goldberg in Sister Act that has made you book the ticket and you get there and Whoopi is not?
You are.
Where do people sit with that? What's people's experience?
For me, I have to go into the decision that I made about buying a ticket, believing this is as much about the production as it is about the people that are in it, because then I avoid disappointment. Like, if you're buying a ticket to a show, don't assume you're going to get the cast that you think you're going to get, because life happens, life gets in the way, things are going to go wrong. So I would go in with the expectation that they are going to be off, and then if they're not off, I would say, good, thank God for that, but I would be pleased that they weren't off. I mean, that's simplistic, right? Because not everyone feels like that.
I think it's easier said than done in certain situations. Probably 9 times out of 10, Yeah, that's
just
fine.
imagine
You
buy
go
a
and see the
ticket,
show for the show.
Someone's name is above the title.
But
just imagine they're going to be off. Like when you book it, think there's a good possibility they're not going to be there. And if you still want to buy the ticket, buy the ticket. Otherwise, don't take the risk and turn up on the day.
If you want to see the show,
10 minutes before the show, buy your
name,
ticket. Because then you can ask, are they in? No, well, I'm not going to see them.
But if it's a big show with a big name, then the chances are the tickets have gone.
Well,
and the
depends
tickets
how much you're going to pay. You can always get through the door.
Tickets have gone because of the name. So, and I think, you know, that initial disappointment, I'd love to know what the house company rules are in terms of a refund. If the
I know
name
on
is off.
Broadway it was if someone is billed above the title and they are off, you can ask for a refund. On Broadway, that used to be the case.
I'd love to know what it is
above
over
the
here.
title
Does
billing.
anybody know? Comment below. We'd love
Any
to know on
producers
this.
out there? What's your stance on it? Who makes that decision?
Yeah.
I think a couple of examples I want to use that have happened recently.
Mm.
For Sam Tutty and having alternates in Dear Evan Hansen, what that does potentially for people that love the show and know they're not getting them plat, is repeat performance value. So you potentially are going to sell 2 tickets to that show to somebody
because
you've got
see
scheduled performances for an alternate and you want to see a different interpretation of that role. So potentially it's great for making the moolah, because that's what it's about, right? Make the money. I think because you're selling 2 tickets to a show instead of 1.
Potentially.
So if you've got an alternate, it's a great marketing sales point.
Yeah.
Also, it's not fail-safe even when you do have alternates and understudies, as with the case with Waitress recently.
Oh, what happened to Waitress
Well,
recently?
illness struck the cast. Jenna was ill. Alternate Jenna was ill. Second cover Jenna was ill. 3 Jennas all went out. 2 shows were cancelled, and on the 3rd show where people were still sick, they flew in a Jenna that had played the role on US tour to just pick it up.
That's amazing. I'd love to be part of that company when that happens.
Which, when you've got the same production with the same director, no matter what city,
yeah.
just goes to show how much of a sort of like a Meccano constructor IKEA thing it is.
It's like that kind
it's
of
just, it's all the same in everywhere you go.
What is that? It's like a factory.
It's like a box. Yeah, it's like an IKEA box flat pack. It's a flat pack production.
Wasn't the word I was thinking? It's a thingy line, a conveyor belt. What is
production
that?
Line.
Production line. There we go. It's like a production line.
I see it like a flat pack that you roll out that entire flat pack to a new city, and you get the set of instructions and you put it up.
Which was actually something quite.
And if someone could fit in like that, then it is that, isn't it?
It's almost a bit sad in a way that it is a bit of a production line, but I guess if it isn't broken.
If it works,
then yeah, do you know, and it means you're getting the same quality. It's like going into McDonald's anywhere you go, you know that your Big Mac is going to taste the same or should be the same. At the same time, I did like when we went to see The Woman in Black on tour, looking at the programme, the director is the director of the original production. He still directs it, and he insists on a few things, like he changes the cast every 9 months, because he thinks that's long enough, and also he goes in himself and works with the cast he has. So he's not always recreating. He's not always looking at recreating. There's certain things that, you know, certain things that happen, but he also wants to work with that cast to make it unique to them.
I think the same happens with
That's
the Mousetrap.
really nice.
Well, the Mousetrap, in fact, it's not quite the same. The Mousetrap will periodically bring in a new director. So they will say, all the elements are here, this is the script, this is the set you're working with, this is the script you're working with, how you get from point A to point B to point C with your actors is now up to you to direct. So I believe they have a different director going periodically to keep the Mousetrap a bit fresh.
And you know what, that's kind of what they've done just with Les Miserables, isn't it? Because it's been the production for years, but now they've brought in this new production, this new way of seeing, which now opens it up to everyone else who's known it and seen it however many times. Want to come back again?
Well, I've only ever seen the new production, because that production was the production on Broadway, which is where I first saw it live, and then they brought it over here. So I've only ever seen it staged that way. You've seen it staged both ways. How wildly different is the direction?
Quite different,
is
actually.
It?
Yeah, it's just quite. Yes, in its
Let us know if
storytelling.
you've seen the new Les Mis down below and compared
How
to the old
different it
Les Mis.
is.
How different? I'm really interested in that because I've never seen the original production.
Miss Saigon was another one. That was the original one that played for ages at the big theatre. Drury Lane, that's it. And then they brought it back to... Was it Prince Edward it went into?
So I think it's a Prince Edward. I always get the Prince Edward and the Prince of Wales mixed up. It's not the one
Prince
that
of
Book of Mormon
Wales?
is at.
No, it's the other one in Old Compton Street. Yeah, that one. Again, a different way of seeing that production. I think you just want to go back and see it.
Yeah.
Anyway, how do we get on to this alternate changing?
Well, the ultimate, what's the expectation? Should you buy a show based just on the name above the title?
Yes, can't remember anyway.
I don't think... I think if you do, you're setting yourself up for potential disappointment.
But it's difficult because
that's the reason you go.
Sister
right?
Act is a big one for me because I'm thinking Whoopi Goldberg. The
Goldberg. I'm not.
The only reason many people are going to see that or paying as much money as they are is because of Whoopi. We want Whoopi.
I don't believe that show is going to be the same with Whoopi in as it will be with Brenda Edwards. I think they're going to have to do, personally, so much to that score to make it fit and Whoopi Goldberg, I think, would say she's not a singer. Her performance in the movie is a non-singing role. She does a bit of singing, but she's certainly not vocalist of the decade. Plus, I'd imagine it was studio recorded. Didn't she mind it? Like, I would think the production, in order to be able to put that on screen, would be in a studio, recording the song, make your vocal tweaks, put it on, play it. Whoopi, you need to mime it. Like, the control that you're going to lose by miking someone live and asking them to sing a challenging score, because it's not this. That's another thing with Sister Act. People are already disappointed it's not songs from the movie. Like, that's the biggest criticism I hear. I've front of house for Sister Act, and you do hear people saying, "Oh, well, where was the song from the movie? Where was all that?" Because it's a new score, it's an original score. It's in the vein of the movie, but it's an original score. People don't know that, and then people are going to think that even more, going to see Whoopi in it, thinking she's going to sing that, the Motown mega mix and stuff. She ain't going to do that, guys.
I think
different,
we could
and
be
it's not
doing...
written for a non-singer. It's hi.
Well, we've moved on from like having a name and them not being in it to more, I guess, the ability of Whoopi now in Sister Act.
Yeah.
Which wasn't what we were talking about.
I'm
but I think
it's but I'm scared.
I don't know Whoopi's ability. We could be doing her disservice. She could be great. So I don't know. However, I also think that
she did
the point
Xanadu. Did you hear her in Xanadu?
No, but I think the point of her in that role is she's meant to be a coach. She's meant to be like a bit of a failed or not quite...
washed up, not quite made it. And they have rewritten it so it is that now. And then
it's about the vocals of her choir and her inspiring the voice. So she doesn't necessarily have to be amazing.
Taking numbers out.
It's about her charisma and how...
Well, you've got to lose Fabulous Baby, full stop. Because
just bring it down. But again, we could be doing her a disservice. And she could sing.
Fabulous Baby is not saying... It's saying I'm a sensation. Okay. I'm a star.
I'm sure it's going to be in, but I don't know what she's going to be like. I'm just saying.
Well, we're not booked in because tickets are about 50 grand a pop, and we don't get invited to much, and that's one of the reasons that we can be so open-minded and give you our completely honest reviews, because we ain't nobody want us there.
No, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do, but we just haven't been invited. No. So. We're not on the list, and we can't afford a ticket. No. So,
Little Leg has got to eat.
Little Leg has got to eat. Cool. So that's where we are. So just interested to know your experiences of names. I know it's worked out very well. Sunset Boulevard, we've talked about in the past, when Rhea Jones stepped in at the Coliseum for Glenn Close, and then she went on to do the tour.
Yeah.
After that initial, it's not going to be Glenn Close.
Thank God for that.
They were then, Rhea gave a fantastic performance, and although it wasn't Glenn Close, they were really happy.
Yeah.
So who knows? So there's a lot. I say that because there's been also Les Miserables, as we were talking about Les Miserables, when it was in its concert, Alfie Boe again wasn't at a lot of those performances, and again lots of people unhappy that they didn't get to see Alfie Boe because he had different things here, there, and the other, and it's like, oh come on, fellow leggers, what are you in this for?
Yeah.
Just saying. Other examples, fellow leggers. What's your other examples?
Okay, I would say if you want to go and see An Evening with Alfie Boe, buy a ticket to an Alfie Boe concert because if he cancels,
An Evening with Alfie Boe, and there's no.
But there's not going to be no Alfie
But that
Boe,
would be funny, wouldn't it?
Don't go and buy a ticket to see Les Mis because if Alfie's not there, it's still going on, and you've got to sit there feeling pissed off. So just go and buy an Alfie Boe ticket. There you are. If you want to go and see a specific performer, there's a lot of them that do these one-night gigs, right? Chances are you're going to go and they're not going to send someone on in place, an impersonator. Although I'd love to see like a Dolly Parton concert where they sent on a Dolly impersonator the whole night, or like a Cher.
If it was
a
really
you went
good
to see
one,
Cher and Chad Michaels just did the night.
And no one would, maybe not everybody would even clock it.
Maybe they wouldn't.
I went to see Michael Flatley, sorry.
I mean... Talk about the devil in the deep blue.
Michael Flatley
Jackson.
In a Lord of the Dance, and we were up in the gods, and I'm still not convinced to this day whether it was him or not, because we were so far away and he wasn't quite on his A game. They didn't announce it, but I wasn't convinced that was him, and it just got me to thinking, how well do we know people? Like, and are we able to tell?
It's a Thursday night, guys. I'm phoning it in this evening.
Just put someone else on, give them the wig, and they've got. How well do you know?
How well?
Anyway, just saying.
I would love to see it as a social experiment, a stagey social experiment. I'd love to see that.
Well, what's next?
Please let us know your examples. The Bal Awards 2020. What the hell are we going to do?
So we had some comments. We just put out the Bal Awards ceremony for 2019. So thank you everybody who's watched it. A few people have said, that was really good. A couple of things. Half expected people to come out who to collect awards. It'd be great if we could make it happen.
Nobody wants to come round our house, do they?
And a few people saying, maybe you should actually make an event of it, get a venue,
Sounds great.
Keep it in-house, maybe just a little bar somewhere, and we could release it. A bit of a something.
Lucy Masaba does a
come
wonderful
along.
job with. She had a physical award ceremony for
Who was this, sorry?
Technology Awards. Lucy for the Theatre Technology Awards, right? And she had a few years where she had a physical venue. One year Nathan was a judge for one of the categories. It was great. Had a great evening. But she's gone digital. She's done more of a version of what we do this latest year because it's expensive and it's hard work to organise. If it's not, also we've got 2 kids and full-time jobs. Like,
this is our hobby.
This is a hobby, and
it's
so
a hobby we're
difficult.
Passionate about.
Well, of course, and we do it for you, but.
And so we kind of get into thinking, fellow leggers, if we're to step up the ceremony for 2020. What ideas we've got? How can you get involved? Because we kind of put a lot of pressure on ourselves, I think, sometimes.
Can you help us?
To make it work, but we think this is a Legger community. It's not just about us; it's also about you.
Basically,
so
if
how
you've
can
got
we
a
get
venue,
you involved?
or you want to sponsor us, or you want to,
what
if
ideas
you want to
you
make it bigger because you think it could be bigger, with us fronting it, being, not wearing any trousers and being just 2 drunken tits most of the time, then help us be your drunken tits.
Because you've got the Oliviers, which is a big thing, big corporate thing, big corporate giant,
still waiting on
led
the
by
invite
people. You've got What's on Stage, a big corporate Evening Standard, big corporate, and this is ours, fellow leggers.
Yeah.
How do we want to make it? How can we all get together? How can we make it ours?
Yeah.
And there's potential here for us to do that, leggers, to get this community, make it tangible. So what ideas have you got? How can we get sponsorship? How can we get money? Who do you know? We just put it out there. If not, we'll just keep doing what we do. But, as I say, if you've got an idea, let's see what we can make of it.
Where's the
Everything comes from
shout-out?
An idea.
In here?
Yes, it's at
Great.
the bottom of there.
I got it.
Daniel Fotheringham.
So, talking about doing things for you and with you, and you're our fellow leggers and working with you, what we did promise in a previous video is that if you were getting involved in a show, that we'd share it, because Elaine Page used to do this, right? She doesn't bother anymore. I don't know why, but
because we've taken the name Break a Leggers, so anyone who searches Break a Leg, we come up.
It don't come up with Elaine anymore. So we had a lovely comment. It doesn't say who this is from.
Daniel Fotheringham,
is it
wasn't
Daniel Fotheringham? It's not
sure
on
it was.
It's not on the snick.
Oh.
So I hope that's right,
I'm
because
sure
otherwise. But it says a show that they're doing is a bunch of amateurs by Ian Hislop and Nick Newman, the Ripers of the Ripers.
It's meant to be a great show.
Ian Hislop is on Have I Got News for You as well. Based on a film of the same name which starred Burt Reynolds, Samantha Bond, Imelda Staunton and Derek Jacobi, tells the story of a fading American Hollywood star who, out of desperation to boost his career, takes on a job to perform the title role of King Lear by Shakespeare at Stratford. However, whilst he thinks this is with the iconic RSC, little does he know that he's been sent to the wrong Stratford and it's being produced with a bunch of amateurs.
It's meant to be very good. I've heard good stuff about it.
Perfect for a smaller venue and an amateur
Never seen
cast.
it, no.
But the show is currently on sale at the Barnsley Lampoon Theatre and runs from the 3rd to the 7th of March. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in and you are in that area, tickets are selling fast. Best availability is during weekdays, and you can go to barnsleylamproom.ticketsolve.com. We'll put a link in the description of this video. You can click that, get your tickets, support a fellow legger, go and see a really fun show about a bunch of amateurs performed by a bunch of amateurs. I mean, that sounds like it could be more fitting. Really.
Yeah, you go. So that's our first break a leg. And if you've got a show going on, anything you want to shout about, put it in the comments below. And I think, as we said last time, we may not be able to pick all of them, but you know, let us know. Share what you're up to.
Just want to really briefly touch on a couple of things that we're looking forward to if they've been announced recently. The Curve in Leicester, lovely venue not too far away from us, and we love visiting there, have got Phantom of the Opera tour for a month from the end of Feb till the end of March. A whole month of Phantom, and then they've just announced that later in the year there's a new tour of Love Never Dies going out.
Oh, so you can catch the sequel.
Which is setting off from Leicester. It's its first venue. No other venues have been announced yet, I don't think. So you've got the chance to see at that venue Phantom, and then a few months later,
Love Never Dies.
Love Never Dies.
You can see what happens.
Love Never Dies wasn't a massive success in the West End.
Not over here, no.
Underwent a lot of rewrites and changes during its run. I've got friends that saw it several times and said it never worked really well for them, but some of our other friends said it got better. What it did have was a fantastic production in Australia.
That's what I was going to say as well, yes.
Everyone
which they
raved
then
about.
Did a pro shot, which I saw as well.
And because I've never seen the first Phantom, I've never watched Love Never Dies because...
Okay. So this could be the year that we bring you, fellow leggers, our Phantoms.
Yep. Dave Smith brought that to our attention.
Thank
said
you,
that
Mr.
they were
Smith.
looking forward to it. Also, they're looking forward to Sunday in the Park with George, with Jake Gyllenhaal and Annalie Ashford. Again, I'm waiting for someone to buy our kidneys so we can go to that. They also said that they are looking forward to Prince of Egypt, which again we're not at this present moment. We will see it. We will see it. Okay?
You will make correspondence. We will get in touch.
Yep.
Yes.
Also at the Curve, they're doing a stage adaptation of Roman Holiday, which was a film. Talking about films, there's also a tour of My Best Friend's Wedding, starring Alexandra Burke. So stage version of that film being staged as a musical. It's also visiting the Curve. Up at the Nottingham Playhouse, something that I'm really looking forward to, I don't know about you, is Piaf, starring Jenna Russell.
You saw a production of that at the in Leicester, and you really enjoyed it.
It had Frankie Ruffel in.
I've seen an amateur production which was very good.
Yeah.
So and I remember it being okay.
Yeah.
So.
But Jenna Russell is.
I know she's amazing.
Exactly.
And we've loved everything she's done.
She's West End royalty.
Yes.
Like if she can't make Piaf work, I don't know who the hell can. But it's Nottingham Playhouse's own production being directed by their artistic Adam Penford, who we know has got loads of creative ideas, who celebrates diversity. The Nottingham Playhouse are streets ahead when it comes to the way that they play gender and race and all of those things.
Representation.
It's just great representation, and I'm hoping to see more of that within Piaf.
Yeah.
Also there, being produced and directed by Trevor Nunn at Nottingham Playhouse.
Big guns.
Is Identical, which is a new musical based on the novel The Parent Trap, which has been made into films more than once with Hayley Mills and with Lindsay Lohan.
Okay.
About two identical twins.
Yeah.
Separated, come back together. There's a whole family.
And this is a brand new musical.
Brand new musical. Stars and Drew doing the music.
Do you reckon it's got the potential then, if they get this right, for it to transfer, right?
Yeah, it could be the first Nottingham Playhouse under Penford that then goes into town.
Because they already had massive success with the broadcast
NT Live.
King George, didn't they?
They did. Anyway, we're summing it up here, guys.
I'm
Loads
ramping
to
up.
think about. Thank
What
you
are
for
you
being
thinking
a
about, fellow
Legger? What you're
Leggers?
looking forward to. Give
Talk
us your
to
shouts
us.
out. Give us your things down below. We've taken up enough of your time. Aptly now we're stuck in traffic.
Oh
What
man.
can I say? But it's you guys. You make us. You drive us on. It's your comments
It's
which
you
give
fellow
us some
Leggers.
enthusiasm.
Yes.
Keep them coming. Please subscribe. Please share our videos with your other stagey friends. We know that you've got them. That's the only way we're going to stay alive, is that more people see it. And that theatre etiquette gets better, because if it gets worse, I'm giving up. I'm throwing in the towel. We're the Breaker Leggers.
I'll catch you again soon.
Bye.